Why ancient humans were happier than you. You have a bed. They slept on the ground. You have food in your fridge right now. They chased animals until their feet bled. You have doctors, hospitals, and medicine. They died from infected cuts. And yet, the evidence strongly suggests they were happier than you. Not slightly happier. Not in some romantic, poetic way. Structurally, biologically, fundamentally happier. And the reason isn't because their lives were easy. It's because their lives were built exactly the way the human brain was designed to work. And yours isn't. Part 1. Your dopamine system is being hacked. Your brain runs on a reward system that took 300,000 years to build. Here's how it's supposed to work. You do something hard. You succeed. Your brain releases dopamine. You feel satisfied. You rest. Tomorrow you do something hard again. That's the cycle. That's the whole thing. And for the vast majority of human history, life fit perfectly inside that cycle. Every single day for your ancient ancestors was a series of real challenges with real outcomes. You went out to hunt. You either came back with meat or you didn't. You searched for water. You found it or your group went thirsty. You built shelter before the storm hit, or you got soaked and froze. Every small win felt like a win, because it genuinely was one. Now, look at your day. You wake up. You scroll for 20 minutes. You see 47 people whose lives look better than yours. You go to work. You sit in front of a screen for 8 hours doing something whose results you'll never directly see or feel. You come home. You scroll again. You sleep. You repeat. Where's the dopamine? Here's the problem. Your brain cannot tell the difference between a real achievement and fake stimulation. Every notification, every like, every scroll gives you a tiny micro hit of dopamine. Just enough to keep you going. Never enough to make you feel full. You're snacking on dopamine all day long and never actually eating a meal. Your ancient ancestor hunted for hours, made a kill, fed their entire group, and felt something deep and real in their chest that night. That feeling, that specific biological reward, is what your brain was built for. What you're getting instead is the dopamine equivalent of cotton candy. Constantly. All day. Until your reward system is so overstimulated it stops responding properly to anything. Scientists call this dopamine desensitization, and it's one of the leading explanations for why rates of depression keep rising even as material living standards keep improving. More comfort, more stimulation, less satisfaction. Your ancestors had it backwards from us, and their brains worked better for it. And hey, if this is the kind of content that makes you think differently about your own life, go ahead and hit subscribe to Naylor Purba. We dig into the science of what makes us human every single week. Part 2, the campfire your brain is still looking for. Every night, after the sun went down, ancient humans sat together. Not because they had nothing else to do, but because that circle around the fire was the center of everything. Anthropologist Polly Wiesner spent years recording conversations among the Jew/Hoansi Bushmen of the Kalahari Desert, one of the last groups on Earth still living something close to the original human lifestyle. What she found is one of the most important things ever documented about her species. During the day, 80% of conversations were practical. Who's hunting where? Which plants are ready? Logistics. Resource management. Daytime talk was basically work. But at night, around the fire, 81% of conversations became stories. Tales of people in distant places. Adventures. Myths about the origins of the world. Jokes that made the whole camp laugh until their sides hurt. Wiesner called the campfire the original theater, the original classroom, the original church. And while those stories are being told, something critical was happening inside every single person sitting in that circle. Deep social connection, not just being around people, but genuinely connecting with them, triggers the release of oxytocin, the hormone that lowers cortisol, reduces stress, and literally signals to your nervous system that you're safe. Ancient humans went to sleep every night with high oxytocin levels. Not because life was safe. Life was genuinely dangerous, but because they never faced it alone. Now ask yourself honestly, when was the last time you sat with people you love for 2 hours and nobody touched their phone? The average adult today spends more than 6 hours a day on screens. But study after study shows the same thing. The number of close friends the average person has been declining steadily since the 1990s. More and more people report having nobody they would call in a real crisis. We are more connected than any humans who ever lived, and lonelier than almost any humans who ever lived. Your brain wasn't built for digital connection. It was built for firelight, for eye contact, for sitting close enough to feel the warmth of the person next to you. The need didn't disappear because you got a smartphone. It just stopped being met. Part 3, meaning they never had to search for. This is the part that's hardest to sit with. Ancient humans never had an existential crisis about the purpose of their lives. Not because they were intellectually limited, but because the answer was never abstract. Your purpose was to survive, to protect your group, to teach your children how to start a fire, to find water before the dry season hit. Every single day was packed with purpose that was concrete, urgent, and immediately felt. Psychologist Viktor Frankl, who survived Nazi concentration camps, wrote something that became one of the most important observations in modern psychology. He noticed that the people who survived weren't always the physically strongest. They were the ones who had a reason to survive, who had something or someone that gave meaning to their suffering. Ancient humans didn't need to read Frankl. They lived inside his framework automatically. But modern life has quietly stripped away most of those foundational sources of meaning. Think about the work you do every day. Can you directly see how it helps another person survive? Can you point to something at the end of the day and say, that exists because of me and it mattered? For most people, the honest answer is no. And that's not a personal failure. The modern economy was specifically designed to break work into abstract fragments, disconnected from any visible human outcome. An ancient human who hunted and brought back food could see exactly what they had done. Their contribution fed 40 people that night. No performance review needed. No quarterly report. No manager's approval. It was just real. Immediately and completely real. And when something is real like that, meaning shows up on its own. You don't have to find it. It finds you. Part 4. The stress that was always supposed to end. There are 2 kinds of stress. The first is acute stress. A predator is chasing you. Your heart pounds. Adrenaline floods your body. You run. The threat passes or it doesn't. If you survive, the stress is over. Your body returns to baseline within minutes. This is the only kind of stress the human body was designed to handle. The second kind is chronic stress. The email you haven't answered. The bills stacking up. The relationship that's slowly going wrong. The career that feels like it's going nowhere. The future that feels completely uncertain. Stress that never ends. No predator runs away. No moment where your body gets to say, the danger has passed, we're safe now. Cortisol, your body's primary stress hormone, is designed to spike fast and drop fast. But in modern humans, it almost never fully drops. It stays slightly elevated, day after day, year after year, and the damage it does is not abstract. Chronic cortisol physically shrinks the hippocampus, the part of your brain responsible for memory and emotional regulation. It weakens your immune system. It disrupts your sleep. It makes your brain literally less capable of feeling happiness. Ancient humans faced threats that were genuinely more dangerous than anything in your daily life. A bad hunt meant starvation. A wrong step meant a predator. An infected wound meant death. But those threats always ended. They didn't bring their problems to bed with them. They didn't lie awake at 3 a.m. wondering what someone thought of them. They didn't carry a low-grade background hum of anxiety about a future they couldn't control. Their stress was real, acute, and finished. Yours is abstract, chronic, and never quite done. Part 5. A body that was always meant to move. One last thing that almost nobody talks about. Ancient humans moved all day. Not because they enjoyed working out, but because not moving meant not eating. And physical movement, not structured exercise, just natural continuous movement through the world, is one of the most powerful triggers for serotonin and endorphin production. The 2 neurotransmitters most directly linked to feeling calm, grounded, and genuinely okay. A study from Duke University found that aerobic exercise 3 times a week was just as effective as antidepressants in treating mild to moderate depression. Not slightly helpful, equally effective as medication. Your body manufactures its own medicine, but only if you use it. Ancient humans had no choice but to use it. You have the choice to sit for 10 hours. And the world you live in is structured to make that choice for you, because your sitting is more economically productive than your moving. But your brain doesn't know that. Your brain just knows it hasn't moved the way it was built to move, and it responds the way it was built to respond, with a quiet, persistent feeling that something is wrong. So should we all move back into caves? No, that's not the point. Here's the actual point. Your brain is a Paleolithic brain living in a world it was never designed for. Its reward system, its stress response, its social needs, its hunger for meaning and movement, all of it was shaped across 300,000 years on the African savanna. And then in the space of 200 years, you put in an office. You gave a screen. You disconnected it from nature, from real community, from challenges that produce genuine satisfaction. And then you wondered why it wasn't doing okay. You're not broken. The environment is mismatched. Ancient humans weren't happier because life was easy. They were happier because life was aligned with the way their brains were actually built to work. The question isn't how to go back. The question is, of everything they had, what have you let disappear without even noticing? That's the thing worth thinking about. If this video made you see something differently, subscribe to Naylor Purba. Hit the bell so you don't miss what's coming next. We're just getting started.